Okay, joining us today is Melissa Kjendle, our Assessor Manager at FRSecure, and we're going to be talking heroic hacks. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you for having me.
So, one thing we do like to do is we start talking with our guests about what are you doing outside of work for fun? Like, what hobbies do you have? What do you have? What do you have going on? So, I'll start with Megan. Give you a chance to think about that for a second. What's going on, Megan?
That means I have to think about it. Um, I don't know. I think the thing that comes to mind right now is just anticipation for spring. Not spending that much time outdoors yet, though I have started making the kids jog with me. I'm not a big jogger; they definitely aren't. But I don't know if I mentioned it on here before. But we all do Taekwondo together, and we're all getting close to getting our black belts, which means we have to pass the fitness test,
Mm,
and that involves jogging. And my son especially is not good at jogging, so we're practicing. We're getting fit for our fit tests. So I think that's been our main recent change.
That helps with the
very
nice
cool.
weather.
Well, I'll go real quick, and my big thing is still working on my Millennium Falcon. I'll have to bring it in and show it off on one of these.
Yeah, you sent out some pretty
It's,
impressive pictures this last week.
it's
It's
getting
pretty,
far. I'm almost halfway done.
yeah, that's
So
exciting.
that's keeping me busy. So, Melissa, what do you do for fun outside of work? What hobbies do you have? What are you doing?
Well, snowmobiling season has came to a wrap, and so we're preparing. We've got a side by side that has four seats in it, and so we usually hit the trail and go riding. It's gets pretty muddy this time of year, but it's fun.
Yeah.
When we're not outside enjoying being in northern Minnesota, we like to watch hockey and spend time with the family.
How about Ovechkin's run for the all time goals? I'm
To
a
beat
huge
out
Capitals fan,
Gretzky.
so
There's one
anyway,
goal he can't beat, but that one I think he's gonna surpass it maybe yet
yeah,
this year. So
it's crazy. All right, well, Melissa, you were a speaker at Heroic Hacks. So first, I guess I want to ask you two, kind of, what was the experience? I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. So how did it go? Like, what was the feedback? How did you think it went?
Do you want to take that first, Melissa?
Yeah,
sure, I just thought it was a great venue. It was very welcoming, and it felt like the day went very fast, but there was a lot of information, and everybody got to bring themselves. So Megan kicked off the day, and I'm sure she'll share some of that. She kind of set the tone for the whole day. And then I wrapped up the day. I was the caboose. So I wrapped up just with some good recommendations on how to help your users be more secure.
very cool. Yeah. What about you, Megan?
Yeah, I thought the event went really well, especially for first time through. It sounded like we had some technical glitches and things like that, as you'd expect from a first time event. But we had really good speakers. I think Tanya did a great job of putting it together and informing people and keeping things running at a good pace. And it was just a nice kind of comfortable venue where people could sit and chat and listen and not feel, I don't know, the busyness or the pressure of some conferences or events. And it was even nice to have a pretty good representation from some of our male co-workers from FRSecure, including John Harmon. It was nice to have him on there and asking some good questions as well of our panelists. So I think it helped balance things out to have that representation as well. But yeah, so many good presentations, and it just seemed like everyone I saw was enjoying it, getting value out of it, um, and people from all like walks of their career too, from those that are just starting out to people that have been in it for a while. So it was really good to see.
Very cool. Now, do you know if that was, excuse me, if it was recorded and if it's going to be put on like YouTube or anything? Do we know?
It sounds like the second half of the day was
Okay,
recorded.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the
we'll have to check with marketing. I wasn't sure.
factor was. I definitely know around lunchtime all the cameras came out, so
Mm.
I think there is some recordings. I haven't had a chance to look at those yet, but looking forward to getting feedback and making it better each year, right? You can learn by watching. And the event space was beautifully decorated and just very welcoming, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of unique seating areas where you could network and be comfortable.
Very
It wasn't
cool.
a classroom style. And then they kind of had food throughout the day, and there was some great vendors as well. I thought that they were approachable. You didn't feel like you were walking down the hallway of, the salespeople. They were actually there and wanting to visit with people, and
Very
so
cool.
it's
So,
good.
well, Melissa, dig into your topic. Why don't you tell us what your presentation was about, and then we'll just dig into it. And
It was kind of fun because I have a passion for helping people. And I think along my journey, I've had a lot of good feedback. They've come back to me and said, I learned this and I was able to help this person, or I took this away from one of the times you helped me. And I think on average, people need to hear something 7 times before it sets to memory. And so keeping people up to speed on security is very difficult. The landscape changes continuously. And we're starting to see now a lot of companies put in regular annual training and some monthly phishing tests. But that might not be enough. People are your biggest risk. So I have a passion for helping people. And so I just talked through a lot of the things that I'd run across people where they'd lost hundreds of thousands of dollars due to a social engineering attack, or my father-in-law defending the phone call saying grandson was in jail because he was smart enough to ask for my middle name.
mm,
And so along the way, it always just breaks my heart when I hear somebody experience a personal loss. And so that's why we educate people, and why so many businesses have taken on that role is because people suffer when something happens, when something bad happens. And what they learn at work, they take home. So that's the good stuff, right? If you teach them something good at work, they can take it and use it for benefit at home or with their parents or their children. But also what they learn at home, they bring to work. Years ago, I had a gentleman I worked with. He would wait to open the email until he was at work because he felt that it was safer to do so at work than it was at home. Um, we don't really want people doing that anymore, right? We want people
yeah,
making educated
interesting.
decisions
I
and
think
not,
it was.
yeah, not opening something until they've kind of had a chance to process through, not let the
Mm,
emotion and the stress of hurry make you click on something that is high risk. So
Yeah, that's a good call. Well, and I think one thing that was so powerful about your presentation, Melissa, is like you said, you gave those real world examples and stories. Because I think it was specifically the one about your uncle and how, like, even though he's like not that into information security, barely had to use a computer, still remembered the things that you told him. And so he did the right thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm repeating that story. That's just so powerful. Like, the message gets out there even when you think it might not. It's like, of all the people to remember to actually hear what you said, like
right.
that's one of the
And
people
I,
you would think wouldn't
that
take
comes
it
with a
seriously.
story, right? If you don't
It
have a
does.
story behind it, people aren't going
yeah,
to remember. If it's just a fact or
it's
a slide or
far
a big
more powerful. Yeah.
don't do it, yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, you have to make it relatable. All right, that's the big thing. And what you said kind of it reminded me of what my daughter had said a few years ago. She asked me what I did, and I explained, and she's like, "Oh, so you're like a teacher?"
Hmm.
It's like,
yeah,
I mean, it really very much is a lot of teaching and education in this job.
Hmm.
it is. And I think that's how I started. People didn't understand what job I did. I was on call for years and later found out that my son thought that all the time I got called, it was only for one server. And I'm like, no, there's a whole room of servers, a whole bunch of users, a whole bunch of devices and security tools in place. They don't understand. So I think sometimes you educate people just by explaining what do you do,
Yeah,
right, during your work hours. But a big piece of that is really the fostering to a security culture, and so that people feel comfortable asking questions, pausing. It's really top down. So John Harmon, he fed into that a little bit during my presentation, which was so awesome because you need that leader saying it's okay to not process that email or to ask questions. And so making yourself available is kind of one of the other messages for IT, to kind of be that resource that people can trust to ask the silly questions. If they have a question about a printer or their phone or whatever it is, if you open up that avenue, what they learn just makes them more secure at work. And pretty soon you kind of get pockets of experts that kind of help others throughout the company.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned John, and a good example. uh, gosh, I think in a couple months ago, I got a text from an unknown number. It was like, "Hey, this is John Harmon. I got a new cell phone." I was like, I don't think so. But I reached out to him, through Teams and was like, "You didn't get a new number, did you?" He's like, "Nope." I was like, "All right, report it."
Every new employee reports getting an email from Evan
Yep, it's
Yeah.
telling him
crazy.
we've got a special project for him.
But
So somebody is watching to see when we add
link,
new staff, and they're reaching
LinkedIn or
out
whatever.
to every new employee with hey, I've got a special project for you. Can you call me right away?
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think it goes to show, that the approachability of leadership to be like, why are you asking me if I got a new number? Like, no,
Yes,
it's not. It's like, yeah, no, it's a scam. It's confirmed.
it is.
Yeah.
And so many now with the tollways on the phone. So even people that aren't using technology on a day to day basis, right? Say, like I said, my in laws without internet, right? They still have cell phones. They're still getting those text messages. They're still
Right.
risk. So I think educating people,
They're
all
still
employees. Hmm.
yeah, they're still encountering it one way or another because when you travel, yeah, you have those options. You have to figure out how to pay it or do it somehow. And then if you just have no idea, yeah,
Yeah.
you watching it. And I know we've already heard from just our coworkers some examples of like, yeah, I traveled to that place and then I got the toll road. So you have to kind of look at it again and be like, well, no, that wasn't me. I was there, but not exactly there. I didn't travel on that road or I already paid it. It should be good to go. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
some
crazy how good their
combination of
timing can be. Yes.
right. Yeah, some you spam it enough and your timing's going to work out for somebody. Yeah.
Yep, you're going to
Yeah.
create that pressure. I know when I used to do the know before, send out the emails, do all the metrics in my previous role. I had people, tell me I was stalking them because they would get a phishing email, the bait,
Uh-huh.
right after they'd used an app or, visited a
Mm,
location or whatever that was. I mean, I had very smart engineers tell me I was, my training was stupid, that it was all logical. And so again, what's logical for some is not logical for everyone.
yeah.
And there isn't really customized training out there. It's kind of a one size fits all. So you just have to send a different variety of media out and hope that it meets someone where they're at so they can learn from it. And if I helped one
Yeah.
person that day, it was worth it.
Well, and even those smart engineers, they might not be thinking about security in the same way, or they might not have heard it put that way or in that example, or known that a certain type of phishing or approach to phishing was possible. So, yeah, some of them might know it, others might not. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, kind of be like, well, let's understand that, yeah, you might individually know it, but that doesn't mean that your neighbor does. So,
Yeah. And that's where it's so important that you foster the culture, that you have leadership support for people to spend time on that education piece, right? Learning about where the risks are. If nobody had email or internet, right, we were all air gapped, there wouldn't be a need to be, educating people. But unfortunately, you can't get a lot of business done these days
No, it
without
makes it
actually
very
internet
difficult.
and email. So yeah,
I will say, I know I was working with one of my VCSOs, and they were asking about the specialized training for like security and for the specialized roles is what we're using instead of privilege or admin. And oh shoot, I can't think of what they're using, but there is actually training now that is for those elevated permission type users or for executives that does it, which is nice. Now I don't know if it's across all training platforms, but I would say if you look and if it's available, you absolutely should be doing those
yeah,
groups.
finance, yep,
Mm-hmm.
executive leadership, IT. I'm putting together a custom one for one of my VCSOs too because they've done the out of the box ones. I think Mimecast had some, but they didn't have one for the specialized user. And so we're working on one for that. Same thing.
yeah.
You multiple times, right? Understanding what their job is and what their risks are.
Yeah, and what the attacks on them, why they're going to be different than a normal user, and what the risks are. Like, hey, keep in mind you've got privileged access, you've got elevated access. They could do some real damage,
Or authority, like Evan has authority, right? So
right?
they use the Evan or the John Harmon because they have authority to pressure somebody into doing something that they shouldn't,
Right,
or
exactly.
bypass
Yeah. I think
processes.
I've seen that Know Before has some level of specialized training for either executives or finance or both. Um, I think that's where you get even more into customizing your own training is so valuable, though, or even just um, uh, supplementing it with real world examples. I don't remember, Melissa, if you brought that out, but it's like it adds so much more when you can show, and here are some examples of the spam that, or the phishing attempts that your peers are getting, whether they're other executives or other financial members, like proving to them that yes, these targets are happening. Here's an example of what it looks like
Yeah, I
is
think I did talk about it's low
invaluable.
cost. You don't need to buy a subscription. You
Right.
just start having people send you what they're getting in their mailbox. Use it as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Even low level, grab a red,
Yeah.
uh, pen, circle the areas where you see the risk and share it back,
It's
or reward them for sharing it and start
it's
building
so
on
easy to do,
Mhm.
and yet it's really not done very often. But yeah, that I always used actual examples, and I would sometimes hide who it was sent to if they clicked on it or whatever. But uh,
That was the other side of it, though. If you click on it, you should be the testimony to say, even I got tricked, and
Mhm.
here's how it went, so that you can't shame them. Because if they
yeah,
are ashamed,
well, I would say this. I would ask if they
yeah,
didn't want anybody to know, I would hide it. But the ones that just reported it, I just said, hey, here's what they saw.
yes,
Kudos, good job, right? And they love it. So then you get buy-in, and it's relatable to others in the organization.
Mhm.
It's not like you said, just this concept out there. It's
yeah. I had a manager
happening.
go one way. Yeah, he wanted to share it with everybody what the risk was and what happened when he clicked. And then I had a different gal in marketing that she was just ashamed, and I said, you need to stand up there and be proud that you reported it, that there was steps we could take because you told us right away,
Right,
and share that example.
Yeah.
But that culture isn't everywhere,
right.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it blows my mind that there's people that are like, why should we incentivize training? They should just be doing this. Why are we going to give them a reward for doing well when they should just be doing it? I'm like, you're missing the point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
$100 gift card every quarter is a drop in the bucket compared to a single incident.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I
that was
mean,
the other story I shared is during an incident response tabletop. It's been over a year or so. The CEO got up and he was holding back tears. He had had a good friend in a partner, a vendor, of theirs, and they had experienced ransomware. And a year later, he was still suffering the consequences of that event, both personally and their business.
mm-hmm,
And so he shared the story with his staff, and I regretted not being able to record it. Right? I said that you could start every tabletop, every reason for doing training, to have somebody like that share a story. And that's where I think sharing that story helps. Getting up in front of people, if you have an avenue to do like an all employee meeting, just a couple times a year, your board of directors or your leads are another separate group, and it's important to communicate to them what the landscape is, what you're seeing, what the risks are. Kind of customize it for each area, but definitely make sure you don't leave anybody out, because everybody even has access to paper, right? Or a phone
Mhm.
call.
right.
Um,
Well, I mean, we see it where they call or they get them to go buy gift cards,
yes.
right?
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with the organization's systems, but it's
No.
still an impact.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that you have somebody come to you and they're panicking and upset, right? And pretty soon you want to help everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you have any? I guess what are some like high level or some of your best tips for getting that buy in from the top to like you said, fostering a good security culture.
Metrics. I am a math person at heart, and I think that with information security, metrics are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
FRSecure's assessment when I was a client was just so easy to understand, and it was a metric that we could track, but it was only annually. And so to get your leads and your staff to buy in, track your metrics. How many times is somebody reporting a true malicious email that reached the user? How often are they able to report that they've had a phishing email, right? A test, and they've
Hmm.
been successful with it, right? So, celebrate their successes and those percentages and offer some sort of, even if it's a pizza party for their department, right? The reward. You can do individual or group. I've tried them both. Um, but really getting those metrics in front of people so they understand the value of doing it. And if you can gamify it, you get the competitive, right, nature of people. Most likely, if you can make it fun or an incentive or a game, you'll get a lot more participation than if you just force it
Yeah,
on them.
I'd agree. I mean, and again, it's amazing how small incentives really do like make a big difference. Um, we've done that. We've seen, where you offer, if you do you get a 5 out of 5 on the training. After, you'd have to do your monthly training. If you
Mm-hmm.
get a 5 out of 5 on all three for the quarter, you're entered into a drawing for a gift card. And
Mhm.
you'll see participation go from 30-40% to, well over 90.
Yeah.
Yep. I think the other tip I mentioned that has some reward is if we think of it as kind of that health and wellness, right? Because financial health is really important to most people.
Mm-hmm.
And so at a health and wellness fair, I had a table and I set up all the phishing things and I had some sample emails there to help people and then they could put it in a drawing. And it was very well received. You got some of the people that maybe didn't have email or didn't always come up to IT, right, for help. But they were at the wellness fair and they would walk around and it was a game and some prizes and some good conversation and going out of your way to kind of let them know why it's important. They can't click on every email
Yeah.
So, go ahead,
or
Megan.
visit
I would
websites
say
that they shouldn't, right? Or click on
that's
malware, right? It's more than just email.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, and especially for people that aren't on the computers as much, letting them know how much they're targeted through their phones too. So, no, that's a great point. And like you said, just getting creative on how you can reach all the people, because not only is it not everyone communicates or reads or receives communication the same way, but you've got so many different groups of people and their priorities, where they spend their time. If you send it out in one platform, you're only going to get a select group of people that operate in that way. So that's a great point and things that people can look at depending on their workforce environment.
Yeah, and I was led by like an information security group. So had to report the metrics for that, which is helpful. So if you've got an internal group that gives direction for cyber initiatives, they'll sometimes also help feed that education program because they'll hear back from their staff what is working, maybe what they're seeing, and you can use that to build your next idea.
Very cool. So, okay, before we run out of time, I wanted to touch on
Hmm.
this. So Heroic Hacks was about women in cybersecurity. So I'll start with you, Melissa. Where do you see women in cybersecurity going? What would you like to see? What do you think the future for women in security is? What's it going to look like?
I think that the work life balance is finally at a place now where women may choose to go into it. I think a lot of women stayed away from it early on. I think the demands were great, right? I spent on call for 20 years. There was a lot of interrupted dinners and missed hockey games or dance things because of work. But I think that there's a work life balance that makes it more appealing to women. And I think there's a lot of potential. We had a young gal join us at Heroic Hacks, new to the industry, just so hungry for all information. And every time I looked at her throughout the day, she just had a big grin on her face. Like, I love this. And building that passion. Women are nurturers, they're gatherers. And so there's a lot of skill sets in that help people and women be successful in the information security field.
What about you, Megan? Same question.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think just generally growth. I think that we've seen. I think everything that Melissa said is very true. Like, it is an environment that has the potential to offer the flexibility that women, especially with families, generally need. So there's not really a reason to exclude them from that work pool. And I think that some of the strengths is communication and approach, or even approachability. Generally, women are more approachable than men because they are easier for both men and women to walk up to. I remember hearing that early on in my career, just back when I was doing art, literally, like, I think in a number of places, it's like, oh, and you'll get more customers than the men over there because you're a woman and you're more approachable. Like, it's just a fact. It's just
Right.
naturally, uh, I don't know, the way that we veer. But yeah, you've got those communication skills, that nurturing approach, that general tendency towards accepting and supporting, that I think will only help grow those information security initiatives and make it more tangible and understandable, and help it bring those concepts into the broader culture, rather than kind of the separated group of, no, it's all technology and it's too smart for all of you. Like,
Mm.
makes it more, help bring it into that world where we need it, where we need to be shifting the entire organizations and people's culture on how they think about it. I see a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I would say from a male, from my perspective, obviously, I think I I love working with you guys, well, and all the women here, because you bring such a different perspective. So it's not, you know, everybody has got the same background, the same history. You look at things differently,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic because I'm like, there's been so many times where I'm just like, oh, that's a great way to look at that, and I never would have considered it, right? And so hopefully for men out there, yeah, it's amazing. Like, you want a wide base of knowledge and experiences, and that's going to make your program better. And hopefully women don't feel intimidated to get into it, because there's a lot of opportunity for them.
Yeah, I know we spoke briefly with one gal who works in technology at one of the local school districts, and I think she was mentioning how there's so much interest from young girls in the STEM career fields, but then around middle school and high school, there tends to be a lot of drop off, which just shows you the like social pressure that's still out there even now, because these are young girls in school now, where you think maybe that wouldn't be happening anymore, but it still is. There's
Still,
still that. Yeah. So, I mean, those are just more things for us to continue to address, and why the women that do get into it continue to pave the way for other future generations of women, because the more accessible it appears, the more it feels like a tangible career path for them, the more women will pursue it. But yeah, I mean, likewise, I think we've talked about it before. It's like you need all of those different perspectives, especially when you're trying to solve so many different problems for so many different types of people. If you don't have the different perspectives, then you're going to continue to exclude huge groups of people in understanding it and securing your company. So um, every organization should really be thinking about that. Like, are we approaching information security in just one way, from just one perspective? And even if you don't have the ability to, create a multiple uh, personnel in your staff, even if you're just one person, you can still seek out feedback from other people that have different perspectives, backgrounds than you do, while you're trying to deliver that message. So
all right. Well, I think this was a great conversation. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us.
Thank you so
So
much.
to end, we do a shout out. So let's start with you, Megan. We got a shout out.
how is this still a surprise every episode?
I know.
I'm glad
I
you
thought about
started
it while you
mentioning.
were
I would just
talking.
forget.
I thought about what you were talking. I'm like, oh, I got to think of this.
Um, I guess I'll just actually thank, because we met and did some leadership talks on our Mind Hive group this week. Make it easy. Like, I'm grateful to our team of leaders, which consists of Melissa and Brad, but also Ryan and Sean. who've been on the podcast in the past as well. Especially as our team here grows, just really couldn't do it without all of you. And conversation that we had yesterday and in past meetings, it's always so kind of enlightening to just see how we solve problems together and how we face these things and gain clarity on the issues that we're facing from different perspectives and really working together to solve those problems. And it's always such a pleasure, especially since even though we might come at it like 5 different ways sometimes, that we're all trying to get to the same place of doing the best thing for our company, our clients, our staff, and keep the mission of FRSecure moving forward. So very grateful for the meeting that we had yesterday and for the team.
I was actually going to do the same, and thank you guys for letting me beat you at our team building event handily. I might add the first time.
So humble.
Yeah, we'll see how the next rounds of mini golf go.
How about you, Melissa?
I have so many things to be grateful for, but I'm going to do a shout out to the assessment team. I lead a team of now 9 individuals, and each and every one of them brings different perspective for me, and it just makes us better. And they are right now training. We've had 2 new people start in the last few weeks, and so they're all taking extra time and care and making sure that they have the opportunity to learn and grow and be the best for our mission. And so they've put a lot of time and effort into the training process. So shout out to the whole team for their help. I couldn't do it
Very
without
cool.
them.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming on, and thank you for listening, and we will talk to you again next time.
Thank you.